Okay, listen, nobody's surprised by this, but we should just dig in. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizard Reads, and as you can see, guys, I've got a stack of books to add to the collection. But before we get into this, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. You can check the description box down below for links to all my social media, including the Discord, the Patreon, what have you. It's all there for you to rifle through. And without much further ado, we've got a fair few books here. Although it looks worse than it is. We've got some really thick books here, but I mean, it's only like in the mid-30s. Yay! It's kind of improvement. It's really not. But we do have a section in this called labeled, that will be labeled special editions, because I had a lot of special editions show up. And I shut down my Pango bookstore, but I cleared out my inventory, so I had some Pango to spend, so that's where some of this came from, and I had some gift money. And anyway, without any more messing about, we should just jump right on into the book haul. Let's save the special edition. Do you want the special editions at the beginning or at the end? I'm going to say let's save them to the end, because it's the stack furthest off to the side. So we're going to go with this right here. So this is Stephen Bruce's The Book of Jerrig. And I'm sure I've pronounced this wrong, but I think I've pronounced his name correctly. This is a bind-up of, I believe, the first 3 books. And there's like 21 books in this series, but it's supposed to be like quintessential 80s fantasy. And my buddy Nico has been really enjoying this, and I gave him some grief about, like, I was like, hey, are you ever going to read that 21 book series? He's like, yeah, don't rush me. And I was like, fine, well then I'll buy it too. And so then I did, because I'm a responsible human being. But yes, we've got this omnibus edition of the first 3. If I like it, then I can continue to buy the bind-ups in this trade paperback style. So, oh my gosh, look at that pronunciation guide. That is I don't like that at all. We'll see what happens. Alright, off to the side. Alright, up next, we've got some self-pub, and we've got Davis Ashura. Now, if you were paying attention a couple months ago, I, blazed through 3 of, I think it's Testament of Steel is the name of that series, although I could be mistaken. Anyway, I just couldn't put those books down, but I have 1 book until I'm caught up, and I don't want to be caught up. So this is a series that comes before it, and I wanted to check it out. Now, these are the older editions. They have new updated artwork, but I found these on eBay fairly cheap, and I decided to go ahead and pick them up. This is A Warrior's Path, and this series is called The Casts and the Outcasts. This is book 1 by Davis Ashura. We got book 2, A Warrior's Knowledge, and we've got book 3, A Warrior's Penance by Davis Ashura. So I am looking forward to checking these out. If I love them, I might buy the updated new art style. We'll just have to see. I think these look just nice enough. I like the kind of orange color tone, and yeah, we're gonna see. The spines are kind of wrinkled and crunched, and these are a few years old at this point, so we will just have to see. Before I forget, I did get 2 digital purchases. I got The Haunting of Hill House on ebook. I think that's Shirley, last name's escaping me. It's a classic of haunted house fiction. And then I got book 3 of Villain's Code, which is Chilling Reflections by Drew Hayes. So I got those as well. And then we've got some mass market paperbacks. Now, last month I hauled books 1 and 3 of this trilogy, and so I needed book 2, and this is Carol Berg's The Bridge of Denarth. And I just wanted this so that I could have a completed sort of collection, at least up to book 3. And what's kind of cool is this one is signed, so that's kind of awesome. And then I've hauled these before, but if I have books 4, 5, and 6, I need books 1, 2, and 3 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. We've got Gardens of the Moon here. We've got Dead House Gates. Ooh. And we got Memories of Ice that I just dropped on the ground. So we've got 4 mass market paperbacks. And honestly, I love this Carol Berg cover. I don't know, there's just something about it. It is just gorgeous. I love the kind of winter on the ramparts with mountains overlooking, and this woman's hair is blowing in the wind. No idea what it's about, but it sounds cool. Or it looks cool, I should say. Then we've got Warhammer 40K, Caiaphas Cain, Hero of the Imperium by Sandy Mitchell. I was at a Half Price Books. In fact, speaking of Half Price Books, let's just pull this down. I went to a Half Price Books and went a little nuts. And we'll start with the Warhammer 40K, Caiaphas Cain, Hero of the Imperium. They happen to have this on the shelf, and this is one of the recommended best sub-series of Warhammer 40K. If you want something a little lighter that's not quite as dark, this one's been highly recommended to me. So I went ahead and picked up this Omnibus collection by Sandy Mitchell, Surviving the 41st Millennium, one battle at a time. So we've got that right there. I do want to get into Warhammer 40K. It's just been a battle getting through it. Or getting to it, I should say. Then we've got a collection of Joe Hill. And I've since read 20th Century Ghosts, and I loved it. And this isn't the only time you're going to see 20th Century Ghosts in this book haul, because I loved it so much. That was not purchased at Half Price Books. Heart-Shaped Box, and Horns by Joe Hill. And I think this one has an adaptation with like Daniel Radcliffe or something like that. And yeah, Heart-Shaped Box. And then I also picked up William Gibson's Neuromancer, which is supposed to be the father of cyberpunk. And yeah, I just figured, why not? It was there on the shelf. It was like $5. And I was like, you know what? Like, I keep hearing about it here on BookTube. I might as well go ahead and check it out. So this was my Half Price Books haul. And then actually went to Half Price Books twice in the last month. But we'll get to that in a second. Then I also picked up, just continuing the horror journey, we've got more Joe Hill, Strange Weather. Because I love 20th Century Ghosts so much, I went to try and complete my collection. So I went ahead and snagged this. This is a collection of like 4 novellas. And then this is also a novella collection. A novella or a short story collection. It just says Stories Full Throttle by Joe Hill. So Joe Hill is, of course, the son of Stephen King. And I just kind of want to know more about his work, because 20th Century Ghosts and Nosferatu were really good. And so I think I'm all in on the Joe Hill train. And then I also sent away for, I believe this was a Pango Books purchase, we've got Peter Straub's Coco. And this one is, I've been wanting to get more into horror books lately, and so I've been slowly just adding more and more horror to my collection. Coco, only 4 men knew what it meant. Now they must stop it. They are Vietnam vets, a doctor, a lawyer, a working stiff, and a writer. Very different from each other, they are nonetheless linked by a shared history and a single shattering secret. So this sounds awesome. So I went and sent away from that. Peter Straub, the only thing I've read from him, I've got Ghost Story, which I'm reading next month, but I've also read The Talisman, which I really, really enjoyed, so I decided to pick that up. Then I told a story about finding the Anubis Gates in a Half Price Books, but it was a really tattered and beat up copy, and for like $3 plus shipping on Pango Books, I was able to get Tim Powers' The Anubis Gate, which has led to me having a small Tim Powers collection, and I've not read a single word. And yet, these just sound really cool. It's just, I don't know. It's got like, it says the Anubis Gate the Anubis Gates is the classic Philip K. Dick award-winning time travel novel that took the fantasy world by storm a decade ago. Only the dazzling imagination of Tim Powers could have assembled such an insane cast of characters. An ancient Egyptian sorcerer, a modern millionaire, and a body-switching werewolf. This just sounds ridiculous and awesome all at the same time. So that's why I wanted to pick this one up. And then I went a bit nuts on the Stephen King. Just a hair nuts on the Stephen King. So I finished Skeleton Crew, and I loved the collection. And I was like, well, I should probably get more Stephen King collections. That's a good idea, right? That's what a sane person does. So I went and I got The Bazaar of Bad Dreams. I've got For Past Midnight, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, and of course, Everything's Eventual. And all of these I got all of these off of Pango Books for like $50. It was not too bad, and that includes shipping. So I decided to expand my Stephen King collection simply because I enjoy King's collections that much. Let's set these off to the side. Ooh, heavy books! They're big, thick collections, too. King has written like around 200 short stories and novellas. It's ridiculous. And then last month I read The Crucible or something Crucible by Sebastian de Castell. It's escaping my brain right now. But I found on Pango Books The Malevolent Seven, and it is, of course, it's not an autograph copy. I forget what this is called. It's got a signed plate. But it does have a signed plate, and so I went ahead and got this as well. It sounds great. It's a bunch of wizards who are a bit on the crazier side. And it says, you think you know wizards, think again. And I was like, all right, yeah, sure. And then, of course, I also got The Art of Destiny by Wesley Chu. I actually pre-ordered this when it initially released because I was going to read the books 1 and books 2. And then, like, Amazon kept sending me really damaged copies, and I returned it twice. And then after returning it twice, they're like, we don't have any more in stock for you. And I was just like, oh. And then since then, I have been unable to find it at a reasonable price until this last month, where this copy just kind of popped up, and it was like $10. I know there was the Broken Binding edition, but again, this is something I haven't read, so I didn't want to get Broken Binding editions of something I just hadn't read before. So I've got those, and now I've got both of those books. Let's go ahead and move these off the shelf and make some room. All right. And then the final books before we get into the special edition section of this book haul. I had been sent and gifted Annihilation, which is book 1 of the Southern Reach trilogy by my buddy Nico. And I was at Half Price Books, and they had the bind up in paperback. This is the Southern Reach trilogy. It's deckled edge. It's got French. I can't speak French flaps. And so I decided to go ahead and pick this up, and then I just traded in the copy that Nico sent me. And this is Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance. So that's right there. Very nice copy. Although I wish it didn't have this indelible, now a major motion picture Annihilation. I just wish you wouldn't do that. I hate it. I seem to remember my booktube big sister, Leslie the Nerdy Narrative, really enjoying Grady Hendrix. And Half Price Books had a copy of this. And so I decided, why not? I had some trade-in value because I took the rest of my Pango stock and some other stuff and just traded it in. And so I decided to pick this one up. It's How to Sell a Haunted House. It's supposed to be scary and funny, and that just sounds awesome. And I've been wanting to try out Grady Hendrix anyway. And then you've already seen it. I decided to pick up the standard edition of Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. On hardcover, I've read this entire series in self-pub and audio, and I really wanted this to, how do I say this? I really wanted this, but I also really wish they hadn't done a Kickstarter edition of Dungeon Crawler Carl, because the standard hardcover released far before the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter still isn't even ready to ship out. And it's been months and months and months. And then as soon as the Kickstarter wrapped up, 2 months later, they announced the standard edition. They're the same price. And I figured I'd just get both. But it just feels weird to do a Kickstarter and when you've already got a traditional pub contract down. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. And that just could be my sentiments. But hey, I wanted this. There's going to be at least the next 2 have been picked up for traditional publishing, so I'll get those on hardcover as well. I'm just kind of salty about the Kickstarter, honestly, that it's not out yet, because I've got this edition in my hand. It's TradPub, and I have nothing in this hand, and that just seems odd to me. So we've got Dungeon Crawler Carl. I love this series. I love the author. I love the narrator. I love everything about this. It seems a weird decision, especially with how popular this is. We've now got a TV adaptation, or in the works. It's been picked up and optioned. We've got this traditional hardcover. We've got a Kickstarter that doesn't exist yet. We've got the self-pub covers. Anyway, it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being cantankerous for no particular reason. And now we've got special editions to talk about. And I'm going to be a bit salty here. There's going to be some saltiness going on. Not here, though. We've got this one. This was recommended to me by John from Talking Story. We've got The Carnival and Other Stories by Charles Beaumont. And until he mentioned it, I had completely forgotten about Charles Beaumont. I used to watch The Twilight Zone with my mom. And it was like TV Land, I think is what it was called, was the channel where you could watch very old television. And I believe they ran Twilight Zone. And Charles Beaumont wrote, I think, like 12 stories for the Twilight Zone. And he died very young. I think he was only like 38 in the 1960s. And I wanted to go ahead and pick this up. It's a short story collection. I've been really loving horror collections. It's supposed to be on the spookier side. It's got a really cool cover. This is a Subterranean press. And it is numbered, not signed, obviously. Because, again, Charles Beaumont passed in, like, I think the late 60s. So this is number 638 of 1,250 copies. And then I received this. There is nothing wrong with this one. This is Boy's Life by Suntup. It is awesome. We've got this cloth slipcase and just probably the most beautiful book that I own right here. I've got it upside down. So just look at that cover art. I have Mylar wrapped it. It's just got some amazing, amazing art. I just love everything about this edition. The art in here is amazing. This is signed, numbered. I really want to get more Suntup Press editions in my collection here soon because just gorgeous, gorgeous books. Then I told y'all that 20th Century Ghosts would be appearing again. I love that collection so much that I immediately started looking for a special edition. And I found this one. This is a PS Publishing 20th Century Ghosts 10th Anniversary Edition that is signed by the author. And it's so cool. I love PS Publishing. Let me take off this dust jacket. And you can just see the pop. This is from Pop Art. Is the Naked Dust cover. There we go. And then we've got end pages right here. We've got another one here. This is the cape. This is just really, really cool. Really well done. And let me kind of zoom in so you can see the signature. I was looking at the Levidian Press edition, which I thought was also stunning. But secondary, those are going for ridiculous money. And this was very affordable, and I just absolutely loved this collection. It was easily my book of the month. Come on, don't fight me. Go back on there. There we go. So, yes, and the cover is from, I believe, the story 20th Century Ghosts. It was just fantastic. I loved everything about this collection. It's one of the best collections I think I've ever read. So, we've got that one right there. Gorgeous, gorgeous edition. Now starts the belly aching. I received Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry from Wraithmark Creative. And there's a lot great about this collection. It's got an amazing dust jacket, which if you can kind of see, it's got like coffee bean texture. It's got these great gilded edges, and it feels like a really premium book. On the naked boards, I remember that Wraithmark was creating a War of the Worlds edition, and they said their printer was just terrible at printing on cloth, and so they were making the switch to paper. And I wish they had done that here as well, because if we can kind of get in, this looks incredibly grainy, and then especially on the back. Now, if you notice here, this was a color piece of art that they then took the sketch of and put on the back. If I hold it back here, this section right here just looks blank. And I don't really like that. It loses all of the detail. And even on the paper edition, it loses a lot of detail. So I would have chosen a different bit of art for this, honestly. You've just got this weird dead section right here where it's this character who is doing some sort of magic. But this just looks incredibly grainy. And for the price that this was, I'm not thrilled with how this turned out at all. Also, there was no reason for the book to be this thick. Legends and Lattes is not a thick story. The formatting is fine, but this is essentially a large print book. It's the font is huge. The line spacing is just massive. And I don't think that there was a reason to turn this into a 450-page book. So I do have some small gripes with this edition of Legends and Lattes. I'm still very happy that I have it, but I would have done paper for this and a different piece of art for this, or at least had the artist fill this in because it just looks weird and dead and like there's just like nothing there almost. It almost looks like somebody like drew there and then took an eraser and erased it. And I'm just not a big fan of that. So that's the biggest gripe I'm probably going to have. Although I do have another gripe with another special edition. So we'll get to that in a second. Alright, so that's Legends and Lattes. Gorgeous book though. Fantastic dust jacket. I just have some kind of production gripes with it. Then I sent away. I've been deciding whether or not to get this for about a year and a half. This is, again, PS Publishing out of the UK. This is Needful Things, probably my second favorite Stephen King book, just behind The Green Mile. And this is a stunning edition. It is illustrated. It's heavy. It's a very heavy special edition. I don't know if I would necessarily read from this. It is numbered and signed by the artist. This is number 960 out of 1,000. You can see the signature right here. And then let me just show you kind of some of the art style. It's just right there. Gorgeous. Needful Things is an incredibly underrated Stephen King book. And I finally just found this for a really good price and decided to pull the trigger. Just fantastic art. Lots of art in this edition. It's gorgeous, and I love it, and I'm so happy to have this in my collection. All right, we're going to put that back over there. And then these are in the special edition section. However, this is a folio of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and I paid like $15 for this. This was not super expensive, but it is a nicer folio edition. It does have, I think, some art. Not a lot, but well, yeah, it's got some art in here. And it's just, I don't know, a classic Southern Gothic, I think, is the style that this book is written in. And I just kind of wanted to check it out. So I found a nice Folio Society edition relatively cheap. Same goes for here. I probably spent $25 on this Pride and Prejudice on eBay on an auction that nobody else bid on. This is gorgeous. What I like about this is it's got this kind of faux typeset letterpress sort of edition. I don't know if they like photocopied an older copy of this and then put those in here, but like there's small imperfections in the type and there's like some odd sort of line spacing and letter spacing going on that makes this a very interesting reading experience. And I just absolutely love this red with the gilding, and I don't know, this. I just think this is a really handsome edition. I have started this, and I'm about 4 or 5 chapters into it. And then the final piece I have to talk about is the next one I have a gripe with. We've got Grim Oak Press's The Stone of Farewell. And I will be completing this set, although I wish I had waited for the Broken Binding editions, because those Broken Binding editions are gorgeous, and I may just pick those up as well. But this dust jacket art is not my favorite. It looks kind of messy and busy, and if you're not right up on it, it all just kind of, I don't know, blends together. And when it's out like this, the art makes more sense. But when it's like this particular character just kind of looks, I don't know, it looks busy and an odd sort of framing for the scene that makes more sense like this. And I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the cover art here. So that's my main complaint here with The Stone of Farewell. Of course, Grimlock Press does an amazing job. The interior art is awesome, but the dust jacket is kind of a swing and a miss for me, especially when, let's move this. When in comparison, you've got book 1 that looks so dynamic and so cool, and then when held up against this is just kind of eh. So that's kind of my thought processes on those two. And that's the end of this book haul. And frankly, I'm hoping, and I say this every single time, I'm hoping to haul less books for a while, because I am at capacity. And I need to keep the collection a little lower, just because if we do end up moving here soon, I don't want books on the way while I'm kind of in the process of moving. Books can get lost that way. I'm already freaking out about the Kickstarters that are taking forever to fulfill, because like that's just giving me anxiety of what if I miss out on those editions. And yeah, so anyway, guys, that's the book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought. What was your favorite book that I hauled? And till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.